We're at Campus High School for our latest High School Female Athlete of the Week, presented by Distinct Ink and Great Clips. We have another state champion to talk to from wrestling this past weekend here at campus. Some history was made this past weekend. Elayna Evans ended up winning the first ever state championship for campus girls wrestling. 35-0 this year, did at 190 pounds, and she did it in dominating fashion as well. Elayna, first and foremost, congratulations. What an accomplishment to get a state championship like that, especially in dominating fashion. What was it like to fulfill your dream to be a state champion this past weekend? How awesome was that this past weekend?
It kind of like just made me satisfied, I guess, because like putting in all my hard work, like the past 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, it was good. It was awesome. I felt like Superman.
Well, I was told that throughout the course of the year, you told your coach that you're going to make history, that you're going to be a state champion, and you finally did it. What was it like throughout the course of the year to go 35-0? That's so tough. So you brought out the preparation. Obviously, you were clearly motivated. So what was it like having that relationship with coach and kind of telling him throughout the course of the year, I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to show you that I'm going to be a state champion by the end of the year.
Well, Alan's like always been one of my like biggest supporters, and he's always there. So I kind of just want to like do that to show my appreciation. And yeah.
Well, job well done, obviously, being able to get the job done. You brought it the last couple of years. You were at 155 pounds last year. You're wrestling at 190 for this year. That's a heck of a jump. What was the biggest challenge going from 155 to 190? Obviously, you had plenty of success, but what was the biggest challenge going from 155 to 190 this past year?
Well, I was kind of scared because I've like, I don't know. When I was wrestling, I wrestled 170 in like an off season in summertime, and so I kind of already had like that experience with bigger people. And I have a practice partner. She's in 235, and we practice together all the time. And so she helped a lot with that too. She taught me some things, and then I wrestled at preseason nationals at 190, and I was like, this isn't that bad. And I got to eat more food. Yep.
Well, in most wrestlers' case, you're trying to maintain your weight as much as possible. And this year, you didn't have to worry about trying to do last minute, hey, I'm going to put on the jump shoot suit, put on a bunch of layers, try to lose as much weight as possible to make weight. So I bet that was a joy this past year. 35-0, not to have a single loss. How did you go about that this past year? Because you probably win your first 10 matches and you're thinking, all right, this is great, but the target starts to build on your back with each match that you win. And then once you get to regionals and then you get to state, it only brings more and more pressure. How did you go about handling that throughout the course of the year to where you were able to complete the season at a perfect 35-0?
I just told myself that I was going to win, and I was obviously nervous. Like, once I started winning and winning and winning, and I just kept wrestling the same people, so maybe they're going to come back to get me because they didn't like that I pinned them. But, yeah, I just told myself I was going to win, and then I did.
Confidence is so key. That's for darn sure. Well, you get to the championship, you get the job done, and it was fairly quick too, by the way, which was also really impressive. When you got the job done, when it was over, what was the feeling like? Like knowing right then and there, job accomplished. Did you run over the coach and give him a big old hug? What was the celebration like for Elayna Evans following that massive moment?
Well, we planned this before, me and Alan, before my finals match at state. We were like, Elayna, what are you going to do to celebrate? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll run over and give you a big hug. Actually, this was his idea. He said, you should just run over and give me a big hug. And then, boom, lat drop. And my other coach, which is a boys' head coach, he had these glasses, and I wore them. I took them from him. He couldn't have them back. And I just wore them, like, basically the whole tournament. And so I had Alan put the glasses inside his suit. What's the inside pocket?
The pocket?
called?
Yeah,
Yes.
so just a suit pocket. You're good.
Okay. And then I grabbed him, and then I put them on, and then I hugged him and lat dropped him. And that was so cool and so awesome. Yep.
Well, that's kind of a big guy that, lat drop.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you do that?
Well, he had to jump. And yeah.
Very, very fun. That's lots of fun. Well, now that you got the job done, I'm sure you have track and field coming up, so you'll get ready for that. But in the off season, of course, you're going to be thinking about, well, what do I do next year as a senior to try to defend the championship, which is crazy to think about, right? To think that is, it's going to be a whole new experience in the off season. But with wrestling and how much success that you've had, I'm sure you're starting to fall, a little bit more and more in love with the wrestling. And when you have success, turns out when you have more success, you have more enjoyment. So have you thought about what it's going to be like from a work standpoint coming up in the off season with Coach Allen going into next year?
Yeah. I texted him after state, like the day after state. I was like, dang, I only have one more year left. And he was like, go make it the best year. And so I'm going to. So I'm going to work extra hard on off season. More than I ever have before, because I do joke around at practice a lot. But that's okay, because when I need to work hard, I work hard. And yeah.
Well, you made history. First ever girls state wrestling champion in campus history. What does that mean to you? Maybe right now you're probably not thinking too much of it because you got one more season to go, but to make history like that, to be the first to do it in a sport that's becoming more and more popular for girls in the state of Kansas, which I love to see. I love seeing the enrollment go up and up and up for this sport. I'm sure you probably haven't had too much time to think about it, but what does it mean to be the first to do it in campus history?
It's pretty crazy. Every single teacher is like, are you Elayna Evans? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I won. And they're like, congratulations. And then they usually give you a big hug or they give you a fist bump. They're like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. And then I just am like, thank you so much. And I just love seeing people so happy for me. Yep.
One more thing I got to ask, wrestling-wise, what got you into wrestling? What sold you on trying it out? Because, again, this is a sport that is still relatively young in Kansas, especially on the female side of things. What made you say, you know what, I want to try that and see if there's anything going on there? What made you go, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try girls wrestling? What convinced you to do it?
In middle school, I had this science teacher, and there would be like a classroom, and we would line up on the sidewalk, and I was walking on my hands, and then my science teacher saw me through his window, and he was like, oh yeah, she needs to wrestle. Then I started wrestling. I told my mom I was going to wrestle, and she was like, okay. And so here I am.
The rest is history. Just went ahead and said, you know what, let's give it a shot. And now the first ever state champion in campus high school girls wrestling history. Elayna, really appreciate the time. Congratulations once again, and best of luck to you in the off season. Hopefully we'll talk to you again next year.
Thank you so much.